Today, let's look at two movements. So we can look at this L-sit position through to a shoulder stand, either tucked or in a straight position, and the L-sit through to a forward roll that could be progressed to the muscle up version. To do the second bit where we go through to the muscle up, you obviously need a muscle up. But if you don't have it yet, you can still work these other components, which is a cool transition that helps us towards other skills like handstand push-ups, press handstand, and even the muscle up itself, plus a balance aspect, that shoulder stand, which is the bottom, the place where you change direction in the deficit handstand push-up. So let's first break the movements apart and have a look at them individually. So we've got the L-sit position, which could be tucked. It could be straight if you had the flexibility and the strength in the position. You have the shoulder stand position, which I recommend you first train on the P-bars, making sure that you can get a tight tuck position, and you want to make sure that the angle is like that and it's not vertical. Vertical is going to take you over towards the wall, or even worse, over towards your back. So we're aiming to have the angle like this. We want to have our arms into our sides, so we have a connection between our upper arm and our torso. We want to be in this position. And learning how to take the shoulders forwards of the hands as the hips move is going to be crucial for showing control and be able to move the position around, especially when we do the transitions from the L-sit and back. So tight position, arms pushed into the side there, and then I can come round nice and slow. Hips are coming down, shoulders are coming up, top of the dip position or your L-sit position, back through to the shoulder stand again. Now that movement is exactly the same on the rings, so I can go from the L-sit position through to my shoulder stand. Now with the rings I can pull my elbows in, so I can turn the hands externally, which pulls the elbows into the torso, making it easier to balance, and I can move the shoulders away from the hands. Notice the hip position changes. So once you get used to it, in some ways you doing the shoulder stand on the rings is actually a little bit easier than the P-bars, because I can manipulate the rings by turning them to help control the balance, but it's another moving part, so it takes a little while to get used to that. Now if you are doing the shoulder stand on the rings, you do want to make sure that you know how to bail out. So you can either bring your legs out to the side and catch yourself on the straps. So from the L-sit position through the shoulder stand, go too far, take the legs out, and now I can't go any further because the legs are stopping me. So that's option number one. Option number two is to go through the rings. And this is where I recommend that you actually have the rings up a little bit higher, because you want to have a little bit more clearance between the ring and the floor to give yourself time so you're not going to smash your heels into the floor. But practicing the roll, so coming through and actually going down like that is important for the bail, but it's also going to help you with that transition when we start to do the forward roll type movement. Once we're more comfortable in that shoulder stand position and the L-sit, we can start playing with the transitions on the rings. So going from a tuck, L-sit position, through to a tuck, shoulder stand, and then back to the L-sit again. If I want to make that harder, start to extend the legs, and then harder again is to keep the legs extended as I transition through to the shoulder stand and transition back again. I'm running out of space with the wall there, but you get the idea. Things are going to get harder as you open the body out. First do that in the static positions, close for the transition, and then start to open for the transitions and the static positions. And then if you don't have the muscle up, a cool transition would be to go from L-sit to shoulder stand, back to L-sit, then do a forward roll to the floor. So your variation of the L-sit through to the shoulder stand, whichever variation you have, back to the L-sit. Now we choose to do the same thing, but now I'm going to go through the rings and down to the floor. So trying to control that descent as much as possible. Now watch what happens to my hands, not only in the L-sit position, but also through the roll. See, the hands are going to turn. So I'm turning this way as I come down. And remember, if things happen too fast, just use the technique with the straps to slow things down. So L-sit, shoulder stand, L-sit, shoulder stand, legs out to the side, slowly come down, turn the rings. So that's much more controlled, and then I can just decrease the amount my legs are pushing into the rings. Now if you have a muscle up or a strong false grip, we can start to add that into the movement and start to roll around the rings a little bit more. So I'm going to do exactly the same. I'm going to go from the L-sit through to the shoulder stand, back to the L-sit. But now when I go through, I'm going to use my legs, look at the rings, now watch my hands get into false grip before the hips come over, then I pull and roll to the bottom of the dip and push back out. And then I can just do the same thing, but with less contact on the straps and roll around cleaner. Now in some ways, if I use the momentum correctly to help me, that version is actually easier than holding on the straps, and I use less strength because I'm just rolling around. Just need to make sure that I turn the hands, get into the false grip at the right time. And then you can just keep progressing that, so you can start to open the body out from that L-sit transition through to the shoulder stand, through the forward roll as well. Now I'm limited by this wall, the floor, and my current muscle up strength, but let's just see what I can do here. So straighter body coming through, start the transition, keep the body straighter, back to that L-sit. So they're really cool skills as you combine them together. There are lots of different levels, from the intermediate person that's still working on their muscle up but wants to start playing with movements above and below the rings, to the advanced person that has super strong muscle up and can open their body to those more advanced positions. Now if you need help with your rings training, your calisthenics or your handstands programming, reach out via the website www.paultwyman.com.au. Drop any questions in the comments below and I'll speak to you in the next one.